Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Elena Westbrook. I am one of your worship associates. My pronouns are she and her, and I am so glad that you are joining us here for worship this morning. And I am especially delighted to get to introduce to you today's guest speaker, Dr. Immanuel Joseph. And he's a member. Immanuel is a high school teacher and founder of a startup that uses technology to address Alzheimer's disease. He's also a former cancer scientist, author of 9 books in 2 languages, a 3-time TEDx speaker, and a certified life coach. He obtained his PhD in biochemistry from Tulane University and has taught compassion skills to companies. And don't they need some compassion? Including Facebook, Salesforce, and Amazon. Spirit of life, we are here as a community dedicated to all that is good and just and beautiful. We ask that we might be strengthened in our dedication to a better world. We would remember all those around the world who suffer from acts of violence. We hold in our hearts all those who are oppressed by forces of privilege and power, whose lives are torn by war, who are prisoners of conscience. We remember those whose lives are torn apart by lies, deception, and cruelty, their own or others. May we find within ourselves peace and forgiveness, even while we pursue the causes of justice, and may our every action arise from honesty and love.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Elena, especially. What I'm going to offer today are 5 stories, and these are stories that are meant to represent 5 facets of forgiveness. But before I start, I'm going to invite you to start with a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale. Just allow yourself to ground to this moment. And I invite you to bring to your mind someone that you're struggling to forgive. It could be you. It could be something that you did. It could be something that someone did to you. Someone whose presence makes you uncomfortable, challenges you. I'm going to invite you to hold this person in your heart. And as we go through these 5 stories, I invite you to place this person in the context of the lessons of those stories. The first story, incidentally, happened exactly 2 years ago, this week. I was in Baja, California, in a place called Magdalena Bay. It's a beautiful place. What's special about this place is the whales, the gray whales, come there every year. They travel a long distance to come there because that's where they have the babies, and they are safe from the orcas because the sea is shallow in this point. About 150 years ago, a man named Charles Scammon found that he could kill the gray whales easily by doing a very cruel thing. Now, you see, gray whales are very strong, big creatures. They're very powerful, but they're very gentle. I remember the day we went, the boats that we were traveling in, they were so small, and these gray whales were massive. But they brought their calves, and they came to us, and they were nudging us to pet them, and it was just so beautiful. I can show you videos of them later if you want. It was just so beautiful. And they trust us. They wanted to be friendly. They were not asking anything in return. But about 150 years ago, this man, Charles Cameron, discovered that the way to kill those whales was by attacking their babies, the calves. He would harpoon them and drag them to the shore. And because it was so shallow, they could not fight. But the pod would follow them, the mothers would follow them. And there, in the shallow waters, they didn't have a chance. And so they would grenade them, those whales. And it was horrible to the point where the whole of the bay was red. All for blubber. And several years later, his great-grandson, who was not very proud of his great-grandfather, came there and he went out into the bay and he apologized to the whales. He stood there and he apologized. He poured his heart out. And 4 whales came. They stood there for the entire hour of his forgiveness presentation, And when he said he felt a certain sense of peace and forgiveness descend upon him at the end of this. And when it was all done, the whales left and he came back. The whaling was stopped in 1975. And some of the whales that we saw, this is what the guide told us, were babies when all of the killing was still happening. So they had witnessed it. And yet there they were, bringing their babies to us, asking for friendship. We forgive because it is in our nature to do so. We forgive because we can. That's story number 1. Story number 2 is a story from the life of Nelson Mandela. And I don't know if this is a real story or not, but it makes for good listening. So Mandela was, after he became president, went with his friends to a restaurant. And there he saw a white man, who was eating in a corner by himself. And Mandela instructed his soldiers to bring that man and have him eat with that group. And throughout the meal, the white man seemed very tense. He was nervous, he was shaking, and he finished his meal as quick as he could, and then he left. And somebody in the group mentioned to Mandela that this man must have been sick here because he was shaking so much. And Mandela said, no, I think it was because of a different reason. When I was a prisoner in Robben Island, this man was my prison guard. He used to treat me really, really badly. He used to deny me water, deny me food. He even peed on me when I asked him for stuff. So it was horrible. But now that I am president, he was probably expecting a retribution. And one of his troop members said, so why didn't you punish him? He said, because that's not who I am. And Nelson Mandela once said that, as I walked the long halls from the prison to my freedom, I realized that I would never truly be free if I did not forgive. And so that's lesson number 2. I forgive because it allows me to be free. And the third story, and this is a hard story to listen to, because it is true and because of the lesson that comes from it. The story from the late spiritual master Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh once said that a man attended one of his retreats in Plum Village in France. And this man seemed distraught. He didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't want to open up. And somewhere on the 3rd or the 4th day, he felt empowered to come up and talk to Thich Nhat Hanh. And he said, I've done a horrible thing. During the Vietnam War, I was a soldier, and I lost a whole bunch of my troops to the Viet Cong, the resistance. And I was angry. So I went to a village, and I brought a bunch of sandwiches with me, and I put gunpowder in those sandwiches. And I watched from a distance. I saw 5 children come from the village. They ate those sandwiches. And they writhed in pain after that. And I watched them die. The villagers came, they could not do anything. The medical help was far out. So I came back. I felt victorious at that time because I had avenged my troop. But then something in me changed. I could not sleep. When I came back to the United States, I could not sleep. And I could not get into a room where there were any children present. I had nightmares. And I'm still unable to sleep. What should I do? And Thich Nhat Hanh looked at him and said, you know what? You've done a horrible thing. But you cannot bring those children back. There's nothing you can do to bring those children back. But there are children out there who are suffering. There are children out there who are dying. And you can help them. Go out and save at least 5 children. And the man said, yes, I'll do that. So he went out and he spent all of his life trying to help children. He saved lots of children. He set up charities. He collected money. He went to the war zones. He did amazing things. And in time, he was healed. And in his healing, he healed others. I forgive because forgiveness starts with me. I'll tell you a 4th story. This is an easy one. A man went to a Zen master and said, Master, my friend swindled me. He took away all my money and I'm angry. I'm not able to forgive him. I'm holding that anger in my heart and it burns me. I need to let go. And the Zen master got up and ran to a big rock and hugged it tight and said, help, this rock is refusing to let me go. Please help me. And the man said, this is ridiculous. You are the one who is holding on to the rock. If you want, you can let it go. And the master said, so can you. If you want to let go, you let go. You're holding because you choose to hold on. And so that's my 4th lesson, which is to forgive, I need to let go. And the 5th story, the final facet of forgiveness that I want to talk about today, is a short story by an Indian author named R.K. Narayan. The name of the story is The Blind Dog. So the story goes that there's a market and there is a blind beggar who lives in the market and there's an old lady who takes care of him. And in the same market there is a dog. He's young, he's happy, he does all what a street dog does and fights for his territory, has fun. And one day, the blind man's caretaker dies, and the blind man is now stranded. He cannot go anywhere, and he is stuck to one place, begging for food. One day, somebody gives him food, and this dog smells food. The street dog comes to him. The blind man shares his food with him, and a friendship is forged. So every day, the dog comes to him for food. The blind man shares what he has, and the dog in turn protects him from other beggars, establishes a territory for begging and kind of, protects the man in some way. So a ribbon seller in the market sees this and gives this man a ribbon. And the man ties the ribbon around the dog's neck. And he realizes the dog can take him around the market. And then the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, the man wants to be master of the dog. He doesn't let the dog go. He holds him tight, even at night, feeds him scraps, beats him, and doesn't let him give him his freedom. So this goes on for a while. The dog loses his life and jolliness and everything, and his skin and bones. And so the ribbon keeper who gave him the ribbon realizes this. And one day when the blind man is not noticing, he cuts the ribbon. So the dog runs away. And once again, the blind man is stranded. A month later, the ribbon keeper sees the blind man, this time with the dog again, with the chain around the dog's neck, and the blind man holding it tight. And the ribbon seller asks what happened. He says, this dog, I know he couldn't stay without me. So he came back last night and I gave him a kick that he will remember. And I had brought a chain that I now tied around his neck, and there's no way he can escape. And the story ends with the ribbon seller making a remark that no one can help a soul who returns to his doom with so much love. Remember, the name of the story is not The Blind Man, it's The Blind Dog. When I forgive, I lose the emotions, but I do not lose the lessons. And the lessons will keep happening until we learn. So when we forgive, we need to lose the emotions. We do not need to get tagged by what happened. But we need to remember the lesson so it doesn't happen again. So those are our 5 facets that we looked at today. I forgive because it is in my nature to do so, because I can. I forgive because it lets me free. I forgive because freedom starts with me. Forgiveness starts with me. I forgive because it means to let go. And when I forgive, I forget the emotion, but I keep the lesson. I want you to take a moment now to think about this person, even if it is yourself, in this spirit of forgiveness that we have created here. What does it mean for you to forgive? What would it take for you to be free? Thank you.
As we end our time today in spiritual community, we depart this sacred space, knowing that blessings shall follow us all the days of our lives if we live in and return to right relationships. If we extend grace and forgiveness to others and to ourselves. If we behold mercy as a spiritual superpower, if we emanate the greater love that holds us close, may our lives radiate the blessings we have been given. May kindness and compassion fall gently from us. May there be peace in the world, and may it begin with us. Amen, and blessed be. Go in peace.